Aha, dobra. We need to wait like 1 or 2 minutes because there is also, parallelly, we've got also another conference and it's just finishing, right? Yeah, so we've got some awards on the first floor, so if it's possible, let's wait 1 more minute. I can still see people coming. Chodzą tam? Okay, I think we can start. I got the signal that we can actually start. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the interdisciplinary lecture series organized at the Pomeranian Medical University in Szczecin. A series of meetings that uniquely brought together various fields of science, opening us up to new perspectives and inspiring us to continue exploring knowledge. In a world where the boundaries between specializations are increasingly blurred, interdisciplinarity is no longer just an added value. It has become a necessity. Initiatives like this one give us the opportunity not only to broaden our horizons, but also to build bridges between theory and practice, between the laboratory and the operating room, between medicine and the basic science. Today's challenges in healthcare, from civilization-related diseases to aging population to the development of the personalized medicine, require a shared language among scientists, clinicians, and experts from various disciplines. That is why it is so important that we never stop learning. Science is not the end in itself, but a path toward better understanding of the human being, the world, and medicine itself. From this place, I would like to thank all the speakers and participants for their commitment, openness, and passion. Let this series mark the beginning of the further meetings, collaborative projects, and, above all, a continued search for answers to the questions that still lie ahead. For now, I would like to invite the Dean of English Program, Professor Dr. Joanna Nieznanowska, and she will introduce 2 unique speakers, 2 unique persons, and 2 unique lectures that are gonna present their lectures for today. Please, Dr. Nieznanowska.
And with the typical disobedience, I will introduce the first lecturer for today, but I will do that with so much joy and delight, because if you have met me in didactic circumstances, you know that I'm all heart and soul and body for medical humanities, right? And the first lecture for today is about and from the medical humanity. That's one reason why I am so bloody excited. The second reason is that the lecturer himself is a good friend of mine, Professor Tauras Mẽkas. This is not the first time we meet. Professor Mẽkas is a pharmacist by background, but at heart, a devout historian of pharmacy and an ethicist of medicine. And that's what we are going to see today. Not only this we have in common, we also have in common the fact that we meet on regular basis at the conferences for the history of pharmacy, because Tauras speaks perfect Polish and he enjoys the company of Polish historians of pharmacy. And this is why the first lecture, for the first time in this series, will be delivered not in English, but in Polish. So, English program students, hold on to your hats. You are going not only to perfect your academic credentials today, but also get some insight in how well you are in passive knowledge of Polish. Tauras, the stage is yours.
Dzień dobry. No i teraz powiem coś, czego nikt inny wam nie powiedział. Mówienie po polsku nie jest łatwe, ale spróbuję, tak? I dlaczego ja będę mówił po polsku? Bo jestem patriotą Rzeczpospolitej obojga narodów i w Królestwie Polskim mówię po polsku, w Wielkim Księstwie Litewskim po litewsku. I teraz o rakie. Nie jestem onkologiem i nie leczę raka, przedstawiam jedynie ogólnione obserwacje i dane badań etnofarmaceutycznych. Rak jest chorobą rozwiniętych krajów zachodnich. Trudno było znaleźć osobę w zachodnim społeczeństwie, która nie została dotknięta tą chorobą lub której krewni nie zostali nią dotknięci. Jeśli należymy do społeczności medycznej, z pewnością będziemy wielokrotnie pytani o radę, co robić. Dlatego musimy być przygotowani do odpowiedzi na pytania, nawet jeśli prawdziwe odpowiedzi są rzadkie. Usłyszenie diagnozy raka uderza człowieka jak piorun. Życie zatrzymuje się i pozostaje 4 pytania. Czy to pomyłka? Dlaczego ja? Co powinien zrobić i ile mi zostało? Na pierwsze pytanie zazwyczaj pada odpowiedź, że to nie jest pomyłka. 4. pytanie jest najbardziej frustrujące i demotywujące pacjenta i powinniśmy zasugerować pacjentowi, aby je odrzucił. Mam osobisty przykład zamożnego mężczyzny w średnim wieku, który, gdy dowiedział się, że pozostali mu 3 miesiące życia, skrupulatnie zaplanował swój pogrzeb od muzyki po miejscu, w którym zostaną wysypane popioły. Wie, że gdyby nie wiedział o terminie lub spędził te 3 miesiące na łonie natury z kieliszkiem wina w ręce, żyłby na najmniej kilka miesięcy dłużej. Pozostają więc 2 pytania. W odpowiedzi na pierwsze, dlaczego, nauka wysuwa szereg teorii, w które nie będę się zagłębiał, bo nie jestem ekspertem. Z filozoficznego punktu widzenia, jeśli jest to choroba cywilizacyjna, to mówi coś o naszej cywilizacji. Tybetańskie manuskrypty medyczne mówią, że rak jest spowodowany przez duchy naga, żyjące w wodzie i podziemnym świecie. Mogą oni zemścić się na osobie za naruszenie ich przestrzeni, zanieczyszczenie wody lub kopanie głębiej niż 15 cm. Jak wiemy, to nie jest dla nas rzadkość. Mamy informację, że członkowie społeczności Amishów rzadko chorują na raka. No i wtedy przejdziemy do drugiego pytania. Co robić? Odpowiedź na to pytanie należy zacząć od historii Lorda Baden-Powella ze skautingu dla chłopców o żabach. Jest 2 żaby, która jedna сказала wszystko i utonęła, druga robiła wszystko, co mogła i uratowała się. I każdy onkolog powie, że zwolennicy pierwszej żaby nie mają praktycznie żadnych szans na wyzdrowienie. W tym miejscu zaczyna się cała gama możliwości, aby pomóc drugiej żabie odpłynąć. Jakie te opcje oprócz chemioterapii, chirurgii i radioterapii? Zaczynają się od porady farmaceuty. Podam przykład połowy XX wieku. I jak to wyglądała apteka? Nie wiem, jak to puścić, przepraszam. Przepraszam. To film, tak.
Ale chyba zrobimy.
Idę, już idę, dobrze. I teraz będzie taka ekskursja. 60 lat temu, jak wyglądała apteka w małym miasteczku litewskim. I ta apteka, popatrzcie, jak wyglądają ludzie. To chyba jest patrzeć tak 1863 rok, kiedy była otwarta ta apteka, tak klienci wyglądali tak samo. I to jest aptekarz, prowizor Józef Aleksandrowiczus, który stworzył lek dla leczenia raka. I receptę tego leku my zobaczymy. I jak to się widzimy? Tu jest i jak żyć, co robić, czego nie robić. I dla studentów takie fajne, nie denerwuj się. Jak to zrobić przed egzaminem, no, i tego nie wiem. Ale jest taka recepta i ludzie mówili, że bardzo wielu ludzi to pomogło. Podsumowując, zmień styl życia, uczymy porządek, to potrwa długo, a lek ci pomogło. Świadkowie mówią, że tak właśnie i było. No i przede wszystkim to autorytet aptekarza. Kilka lat temu na Wydziale Farmaceutycznej naszej uczelni przeprowadzono badania etnofarmaceutyczne, którym celem było zbadanie, jakie dodatkowe środki przyjmuje się chorzy na raka oprócz leczenia przepisanego przez lekarza. Etnofarmacja nie kończy się w pierwszej połowie XX wieku w pracach profesora Jana Muszyńskiego. Ludzie nadal poszukują zdrowia, a czasami te eksperymenty kończą się sukcesem i są warte badań. Ludzkość przetrwała, bo się leczyła. I statystycznie więcej odkryć dokonali tu nasi przodkowie, którzy nie umieli czytać, niż współczesne laboratoria farmaceutyczne. Przyjrzę się głównym grupom tych środków. I substancja pochodzenia roślinnego. Ta grupa jest najszersza. No i zaczniemy trującej, ale bardzo popularnej rośliny Conium maculatum. Pacjenci uważają, że to metoda za najbardziej odpowiednią do tłumienia bólu nowotworowego. Drugi jest Helidonium majus. Wszechstronny środek na raka. Trzecia nalewka z Trifolium pratense w onkologii po operacji. No i herbatki z Calendula officinalis, Achilleia millefolium i Artemisia absinthium na problemy trawienia po chemioterapii. W celu detoksykacji po chemioterapii napar z korzeni Arctium lapa lub korzenia Taraxacum officinalis. Zaleca się również włącznie do diety pieczonych w piekarniku jabłek, marchwi, kapusty w celu detoksykacji. Królową detoksykacji jest Fragaria vesca. I zaleca się spożywanie litra świeżych jagód każdego dnia, gdy są dojrzałe. Grzyby. Ciaga. Wywar wodny pije się dla ogólnego wzmocnienia organizmu. Nalewka Phallus impudicus pije się na raka krwi i piersi. Nalewka z muchomora czerwonego z wódką domową pije się w kroplach na raka krwi. I nalewka z borowików i kurek w czerwonym winem lub koniakiem profilaktyczny środek zapobiegawczy, jeśli ktoś w rodzinie już chorował lub choruje na raka. Substancje zwierzęce. Najwybitniejszym przywódcą tej grupy jest ropucha. Ropuchy, podobnie jak żmije, nadal są łapane na Litwie, gdzie nadal obowiązuje pogańskie ograniczenia, dopóki nie zapieje kukulka lub nie zażmie grzmot. Ropuchy nasączone alkoholem przyjmuje się w postaci kropli praktycznie przy wszystkich rodzajach raka, a ich stosowanie jest powszechnie zalecane przez pacjentów nawzajem. Tłuszcz borsuka z miodem i koniakiem na raka płuc. Zaskakuje mnie różnica między borsukiem polskim a litewskim. No tak jest. Nalewka żmii dla ogólnego wzmocnienia organizmu po chemioterapii. Homeopatia. Bardzo odmienne podejście wśród lekarzy, ale często stosowane i lubiane przez pacjentów. I jeden z przypadków, w których podstawa lekarza nie może być barierą dla optymizmu pacjenta. Ma tu zastosowanie powiedzenia Hipokratesa salus aegroti suprema lex. Najbardziej popularne są bufo, konium, helidonium, ferum, fosforicum i typowe dla homeopatii ścisłe kolejno szleków. I na środki. Nalewka z bursztynu po łyżeczce jako środek wzmacniający. Natlenek wodoru upuszczony na cukier, na raka prostaty i jelita grubego. Nafta po łyżeczce na raka piersi, słodkie czerwone wino po łyżce stolowej 3 razy dziennie na raka piersi. Molitwa i pielgrzymka do świętych miejsc. Uważam, że jest to jeden z najpewniejszych sposobów na uwolnienie się od przytłaczającej nas rozpaczy. Z pewnością można go polecić prawie każdemu. Zasada Hipokratesa primum non nocere, przede wszystkim nie szkodzić, naprawdę ma tutaj zastosowanie. Popularne pielgrzymki do Szydłowa, do Ostrej Bramy i Sanktuarium Bożego Miłosierdzia w Wilnie ze słynnym obrazem, o którym wszyscy wiecie. Tak. Modlitwa jest szczególnie popularna wśród terapii uzupełniających. Korzysta z niej ponad 1/3 wszystkich pacjentów chorych na raka. Pytanie teraz może brzmieć, czy możemy poważnie rozmawiać o takich terapiach uzupełniających w środowisku uniwersyteckim? Ale na tym polega różnica między uniwersytetem a koszarami, że na uniwersytecie mogą istnieć różne opinie. Religia to wiara, a nauka to wątpliwości. Z tego powodu uważam, że niewierny Tomasz powinien zostać mianowany patronem naukowców, ponieważ nie ufał opowieściom, ale eksperymentom. Paracelsus, który położył podwaliny pod współczesną zachodnią naukę medyczną i który odwiedził zarówno Królestwo Polskie, jak i Wielkie Księstwo Litewskie w 1520 roku, nie zreformował nauk medycznych na podstawie starych pism, ale badając, jak leczą zwykli ludzie i kładąc nacisk na eksperyment jako podstawę nauk medycznych. W tych ważnych słowach przejdźmy do prostszych rzeczy. A tutaj możemy usłyszeć śmiech Mefistofelesa. Pieniądze. W farmacji odgrywa on ważną, choć wierzę, że nie decydującą rolę. Kiedy ktoś słyszy diagnozę raka, zwykle zdaje sobie sprawę, że pieniądze nie mają wartości. Ale to, że pieniądze mają wartość, zrozumieją inni. Zawsze znajdą się spadlinożercy, którzy chcą wykorzystać desperację ludzi. Niektórzy robią to jak aż do ostatniego tchnienia chorego. Na Litwie pewna pani, która przez kilka lat sprzedawała zioła na targach, zasłynęła ze swoich zdolności aktorskich i oświadczyła w popularnym programie telewizyjnym, że może wyleczyć raka w 2 tygodnie za pomocą swojego sekretnego preparatu z chwastów. Oburzenie ze strony społeczności medycznej nie stłumiło napływu tych, którzy chcieli szybkiego i bezwysiłkowego lekarstwa. Założono warsztat produkujący ten lek. Wszystko skończyło się tak, jak kto woli. Karą boską lub zemstwą tybetańskiej nagi. Wszystko spłynęło. No i teraz ja mówiłem po polsku, a będzie krótko mówić po litewsku. Może ktoś wytłumaczy to z litewskiego na polski. Widzicie, Litwo, ojczyzno moja, tėvynė Lietuva, mielesnė už sveikatą, kaip reik tave branginti, vien tik tas pamato, kas jau tavęs neteko. Nun tave vaizduoju, aš ilgesi grožiu sujaudintas tavoju. Litwo, ojczyzno moja, ty jesteś jak zdrowie. Ile cię trzeba cenić, ten tylko się dowie, kto się straci. Dziś piękność twą w całej ozdobie widzę i opisuję, bo tęsknię po tobie. No wszystko, wszyscy to też wiedziecie. I trzeba zakończyć takim plakatem, który kiedyś miał dużą wartość. Teraz też, bo wróg jest ten sam i sojusznicy te same. To z czasów powstania i zakończyć trzeba takim hasłem z tych lat za naszą i waszą wolność. Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much for this interesting lecture. Any questions? Dear students, maybe any comments?
So first in English, then in Polish. Thank you so much, and oh my gosh, we should have provided simultaneous translation for your speech. So for the English-speaking students that do not speak Polish, the last fragment was, I mean, everybody in Poland knows where it comes from. It's from Pan Tadeusz by Adam Mickiewicz, the Polish, I don't know, Shakespeare combined with Lord Byron. Something that we and the Lithuanians have in common, and of course the comment on the political ending of the lecture, the coat of arms showing the symbols for Lithuania, Poland, and Ukraine. You get the gist, right? And now to the point. We are right now amidst a new wave of anxiety and a new wave of hostilities between the non-professional people dealing with healing practices and the medical community dealing with managing diseases like cancer. This topic was in existence 200 years ago, 100 years ago, and it's still not going anywhere. Where's despair, there's always space for manipulation and abuse. At the receiving end of that abuse are our patients, and we are really forceless against it. We haven't got good solutions on how to manage our patients' expectations and shield them, protect them against abusive con men and women. We still have no clue. This is one of the unsolved problems in medicine. And I thank you for showing us these traces coming from the history of medicine that have not died out. They used to be the legitimate part of academic medicine, all these, you know, toads and mushrooms and strange concoctions. We found better ways, we moved on, but people, especially people facing desperate fear of death, are still using these methods. Therefore, there must be some guttural need somewhere deep in our nature. These methods, you know, magical methods, ritualistic methods, speak to something in our souls. Now the question is how to make good use of this knowledge, the use that doesn't hurt our patients and yet helps them cope with the emotional load of suffering from cancer. I don't know if that's a question or a comment. Just huge thanks for this lecture. Thank you.
Thank you one more time. I think that there is no just one resolution, one reception. We are different, and all of the people who suffer from some diseases have different personality, point of view, religion. We are different, and everyone will find different pathway to survive. Okay, I think that this is the high time for a next lecture. So I would like to ask Dr. Żuk, and please introduce your friend and tell us a few words about the tutor.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's very honor to present Professor Manuel Machuca from University Loyola in Seville. He is a pharmacist. He has a degree in community pharmaceutical care at the University of Valencia, postgraduate certificate in pharmacovigilance at the University of Seville, and he also has a diploma in pharmaceutical care from the University of Minnesota. He's an honorary professor at the University of Buenos Aires and member of the Peruvian Academy of Pharmaceutical Sciences. In 2009, he was named Pharmacist of the Year by the European Association of Pharmaceutical Law. He's an educator. He has taught at various universities in Spain, Portugal, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, and Costa Rica, and has delivered lectures in 22 countries world. And today he's here in Poland, in Szczecin. Welcome, Professor Machuca.
Thank you, dear friend, for your presentation. Good afternoon. First of all, it's a pleasure for me to stay with you here, to share my thoughts, my opinions. I would like to begin with this phrase. Sometimes I've thought that Lewis Carroll wrote it for a pharmacist. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. The history of pharmacists has always been closely linked to medicines. The most commonly used therapeutic tool to preserve health, alleviate disease, and relieve suffering. Since the dawn of time, there have always been individuals committed to preventing harm. We are the heirs of those people, healers, shamans, physicians, and early pharmacists, who, in dialogue with Mother Nature, studied and sought the best remedies, health and medicines, medicines and health. These have always been our primary objectives, our reason of being. A profession represents a duty to society. It's not simply a means of livelihood or a way to make a living. Money should not be the goal of our lives, but rather the means of rewarding our mission. Like in science, it is important not to confuse the objectives of research with the methods used to achieve them. The true goal of pharmacists throughout history has always been the use of medications to contribute to human health. Medication and pharmacists. Medication and health. Pharmacists and health. And how has the pharmacist contributed? Until the 19th century, by researching and producing new medicines. The Industrial Revolution centralized research and production into larger establishments, what we know now as the pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical laboratories are essentially large, specialized pharmacies, supported by a diverse workforce dedicated to production and research. From that point on, smaller pharmacies, the ones we are familiar with today, and their pharmacists, specialized in ensuring public access to medicines and information. Recent advances in research on disease and therapeutics have now opened the door for pharmacists to adopt a new role in society. The ongoing fight against disease and the pursuit of increased life expectancy has, over recent decades, resulted in the chronic management of disease that were once acute or fatal. This represents a major successful true revolution. In just over a century, global life expectancy has doubled, thanks largely to medicines, among other factors. However, history teaches us that with every major advance, new challenges arise. Chronic disease management and the development of new therapies have created a complex landscape where polypharmacy is common. Many medications not only fail to guarantee therapeutic effects, but also share metabolic pathways, increasing the risk of interactions. This complexity is further compounded by the fact that many therapeutic goals lack clear symptoms, making assessment difficult. Moreover, medication can lead to undesirable effects that are physically, psychologically, and socially effects. The use of medicines today is infinitely more complex than it was a century ago. And the reality is stark. Only about 4 in 10 medications achieve their intended therapeutic outcomes. And nearly all patients on chronic therapy require adjustments to optimize results. This complexity is poorly understood. Sometimes it's oversimplified as non-adherence, blaming patients for misuse with acknowledging the deeper issue, a lack of understanding of the patient's medication experience. There is an obsession with fitting patients into diagnostic codes, ignoring the individual circumstances and daily life impacts of medication use. Patients are not at fault. They are victims. Other times, the narrative focuses on adverse drug reactions or human errors, again, missing the broader picture. As a society, healthcare professionals, including pharmacists, have become deniers of pharmacotherapeutic problems. We don't know, or we know just a few things about drug therapy problems. Yet we know these issues exist. We know they are one of the leading causes of preventable mortality today. Still, we look the other way. Politicians, healthcare professionals, and especially, above all, pharmacists, continue to avert their gaze, despite knowing how to contribute to mitigating medication-related suffering. Instead, we persist with a professional education and practice model centered on profit, betraying our historical mission, passed down from healers, shamans, physicians, and pharmacists, who sought to combat illness and its consequences with the scientific tools available to them. Modern pharmacists must continue researching and producing medicines. But we must also forge a professional identity focused on relieving the suffering caused by medications. And the solution is not just any solution. It is found in pharmaceutical care. There are no substitutes or shortcuts. No other choices that can adequately adapt this model to pharmacy practice. If pharmacists must step out of the pharmacy to do so, then so be it. What matters is not the pharmacy itself, but the people we serve. A duty to society, a duty to society. Remember, a profession is a duty to society and not only a business opportunity. Understanding the health problem caused by medications exists and that addressing them requires an understanding and intervention on the biomedical and emotional complexity of pharmacotherapy is crucial to alleviating suffering, not only for individuals, but for society as a whole. The economic costs associated with ineffective and unsafe pharmacotherapy are devastating, representing a severe burden on public healthcare systems. So, we have a significant mission ahead. We must help you, students, understand and address these issues, training you with solid competencies to ensure a collective response, the only viable path forward. Education and research bear a great responsibility to generate results and develop experts. And sooner rather than later, We must also establish a reimbursement model that ensures those who contribute to solving these problems are fairly compensated. This is not an expense, but an investment. It has long been known that for every dollar invested in clinical pharmacists, the return on investment is 4.81. Investing in clinical pharmacists is never a cost. It is an opportunity to save healthcare system resources, alleviate human suffering, and reallocate taxes to other crucial societal needs. The pharmacy profession has the potential, just as nursing did at the turn of the century, to lead the change in society that are urgently needed. We must recognize this. We cannot look away or settle for inadequate alternatives. And this change is not for the future. It must begin next Monday. Thank you very much.
My comment is that generally we are living in a very difficult world and in difficult times. That existing and the knowledge that comes from the scientists is really difficult because everyone in this world, in today's world, is an expert, is a medical and scientific expert. So everyone is expert regarding the medicines, pharmaceutics, treatment, diagnosis, and this is sad because some fields of the medicine in the different areas should be left just for the professionals. Thank you for your extremely interesting lecture. We've got also Rector would like to say.
Thank you very much. Both professors, thank you for your fantastic lectures, very humanistic. And I think the conclusion that came to me after your talks is that we are treating a patient, not a disease. This is first. Secondly, that we have, as a psychiatrist, I always ask myself, if I get a new medication for a disorder like depression, what is the number needed to treat? This is a nice index showing that you have to give 3 patients a medication, and then among those 3, 1 will be cured or respond. So if you have low number of number needed to treat, that's a very good index. And the second index is number needed to harm. It means if you give the medication and it makes side effects, and this number is too high, then you have to be stay aware. Sometimes it's that also the faith, and that you believe. We have the same patients with same diagnosis coming to 2 doctors, but one doctor is more effective than the other. Then we look for those unconscious reasons why, what type of personality, what type of things which are not strict scientifically defined could be taken into consideration. So, well, in psychiatry we do have very good drugs. Actually, 70% of people respond to our medication, antidepressive, although 30% still is resistant. Then we give another medication and the situation repeats. So from those 30%, 70 will respond to the second drug, and we still have 1/9 which doesn't. So this is always, I think, a situation in many disorders that happens, that there is a resistant And maybe in there we should take into consideration other factors than purely medical science. Of course, we must rely on evidence-based, but always good to remember on the other factors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for raising some superbly important points about the challenges that we are facing. Just one example from the book that I've read recently, and I'm obsessed about it. Between 1966 and 2012, we haven't come with any new anti-tuberculotic medication. Why? Tuberculosis hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there, and yet we allowed ourselves half a century plus of laziness in that field. How do you think? Do you have any recipes, any ideas? How do we transform the reality that we are now here, the reality that results from what happened in pharmacy and in pharmaceutical industry in the 19th and 20th centuries, so that we can start realizing the goals that you showed us on these slides? We are not in control of the discovery and the production of medications, nor are the democratically elected governments. The control is in multinational corporations, and whatever they say on their posters, they are not human-oriented, they are profit-oriented. How do we change this so that we can go in the direction that you showed us in your lecture?
Well, I think it's an interesting question, and I'm afraid I have not the whole response, but I think related, for example, to antibiotics, the problem is generic and the rational use of antibiotics. If we discover one antibiotic is not immediately the first line for an industry, it's not interesting, it's not the business. And the problem is, or one of the problems, is that medication is a business. But what we offer is another model to approach medicine in general, taking medicine as the thing who are sharing physicians, pharmacists, nurses, etc. A rational process to consider in this scenario of complexity in chronic disease, that medication can be a cause of illness. And what we offer is a new rational process to attend all drug therapy needs of the patient, not only by specialties, just general practitioners focused on medication to respond if every medication is indicated, is effective, is safe in what we say relational pharmacology. I think we have say the pharmacology as a linear pharmacology. You are a person with a disease, the physician decides what is better for you and then prescribe the better he or she thought is good for this patient. But for us, all we consider is all the medication and all the medication related to one another to see this. And I think we have all health caregivers, we have a very important problem that we are not demanding time for our patients. It's in a scenario like the chronic disease, time is indispensable. It's so important because the most important problem probably is not the mechanism of action of certain medicines, no the interactions, no, is how these patients feel their disease in their own lives, in the social lives. These are uncompliance, the focus of uncompliance, and many other things. If we don't consider, if we don't fight for time with patients, we will do nothing.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion, comments, questions? Dear students, do not be afraid. You've got this one occasion to ask some questions for the specialists. Yeah, we've got...
Great talk. I was kind of scary, I would guess, because 40% of the drugs do achieve intended use, to quote you from the... I was so surprised I started looking it up while you were speaking, and in oncology it's less than 25%, so it gets even worse from there in some fields. But then, I like to sometimes call myself working with personalized medicine, and that goes in line with the effectiveness of the drugs and finding out which ones would work where best. But we're doing our best, what we can do. And honestly, I don't think we can do any better from here if it goes about on the research side. It costs a lot of money. It's always the money issue in the end of the day. But do you think that on the research side we can do any better from what we're doing now?
And in my opinion, if we continue doing the same things, the results will be the same. What I am proposing is to do things in a different manner, to help physicians, to help patients to achieve the better goals of therapy, because of one of the biggest problems now is the complexity. The complexity is not of course, I'm sure that you prescribe the best what you have for your patients, but it's not a question of if somebody is doing things badly. I think that the question is if this complexity of chronic disease must be addressed for physicians alone. And all we want to say is, all we want to do is to help in a different manner. And the studies, the research we have proved that it's possible to double the effectiveness and safety, the therapy of the medication, considering medication as a cause of a health problem. And this, like medications are one of the cheapest therapeutic tools. That's the reason of we overuse medication, because it's cheaper to give a medication to a patient than other therapy. When the medication fails, the cost increase dramatically because we have new consultations, admissions at hospital, pensions due to disease, and this is the cost we can save. It's not a question of medicines, of increasing the number of practitioners. We need more physicians, and pharmacists want another position for them. No, it's a question to rethink the scenario, because we are still treating disease like acute disease. And this scenario is not acute disease. This scenario is more complex. It's chronic disease, it's polypharmacy, it's patients' medication experience contributing to make different decisions, because you or even me can advise a patient to take this medication, but the medication is taken in their homes, and we don't know anything about this. The medication is taken related to what they fear, what they dream, what they... It's not a question of knowledge. It's a question of feeling. And we have to stay closer to the patients with a different approach. Your approach is so important, it's essential, but we can offer another approach close to the patients. And I think it would be good for you to have more time for your patients working in this side. It's my opinion.
Thank you so much for your answer. I think that this is time to finish our meeting, the last one this academic year. So be open for the next year, and hopefully we will continue this tradition. So I think that this kind of meeting is going to be fun, and it's going to be the tradition for our university. From this place, we would like to ask Professor, could you please come here to us? Some few words from Rector.
I would like to thank you, both of you, for excellent lectures. And I'm really glad that we are talking about these very hard, very complicated themes. But I think that it's very important that we are discussing about these topics. And but this time, I would like to wish you a good time in Szczecin, in our Szczecin. You are our guest, and we would like to invite you for the special dinner. And I think that you will have a time to see something interesting in our beautiful Szczecin. Thank you very much.